Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and you might have heard about Yokai Watch by now. If you haven't, there it is. That's Yokai Watch right there. Pretty much something that looks like Pokemon and has some kind of Japanese art style, and people are saying it's going to be the next big Pokemon, and because of that, I'm going to see what it's all about. So, really, just a lot of internet articles, a lot of buzz news sites have just been like, whoa, this thing's gaining steam in Japan. What does that mean for America? It's getting a 2016 release. So yeah, this is one of those curious cases where something gets so popular in Japan, they're like, let's try it out in other markets. Let's throw it over at North America and see if they bite. Now, this is a very interesting case because it feels like in Japan, it is the next Pokemon, that a lot of kids in Japan are playing this instead of Pokemon. They think this is cooler, they think this is better than Pokemon, but at the same time, you know, this is really making use of technology that Game Freak hasn't, and I'll talk about them more later. Like, the anime looks a little better, they've already gone for movies, they've already gone for games, they've already gone for toys. This is pretty much what Pokemon did back in the late 90s with their current technology, but Yokai Watch is capitalizing with this newer, better technology, so it's captivating kids better than Pokemon has, to a degree. Even though we'll never have another Pokemon, in a way, this is becoming the next Pokemon to many people, so it is getting a lot of momentum, and it's very Japanese. I think that that's the best way that you can describe it, is that it's very Japanese, because you can look at that and be like, what is that? What is, this is where we're starting to wonder, like, how well will it succeed in North America? Because you have things like that, like, what is this? That looks weird. There's also a couple of other things, like, why is there a brick lifting a car? And I see you over there, Shiftry and Lombre. So, there are similarities, there are those parallels because a lot of Japanese culture is involved, so it's not like they're ripping off Pokemon, it's that these are figures in Japanese culture and lore, and I think that yokai is actually like the name given to the Japanese supernatural beings, so any Pokemon that have been taken as yokai are going to just naturally be in yokai, like the two Pokemon we see here. When we look at some other things, you know, the anime has some really good quality, that it looks pretty good, and like the first scenes of the anime are fantastically done, so it'll really draw you in really quick. And then we also have the game. Now, again, we're getting in a defuck factor because those are characters that you collect and train as your yokai, and then you can also fight with them and stuff. So the battle scenes actually look really cool. They have a nice little background area, and the fights are from behind, and they have a better 3D feel. Also, when you look at the game, that is the gameplay right there. That is what Pokemon needs to be. That you have a nice 3D top-down isometric view, and you're going to be able to like interact a lot better. I mean, the character is just really fleshed out. I think that that's what Game Freak has needed all along. Then we look at some other scenes. You know, it's just like, it's like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with more detail and a more just like expanded view and an expanded world. And I think that that's where Yokai Watch gets the edge. Because if you think about Pokemon, the reason they do it the way they do is because back in the day, back when Pokemon first came out, that was like the greatest thing ever. And they've been keeping that art style and they haven't changed it too much. Now this new contender, it doesn't have any kind of tradition to uphold, so it's just going to go and try to push the 3DS graphics. It's going to make the best thing it can to try to captivate people, and this is the new Pokemon that, you know, kids that have been playing Pokemon are like, these graphics are kind of lame. But to people that have been playing Pokemon, it's like, wow, these are the same graphics and they still manage to excite us. And then something like this comes along, it's like, wow, this looks better than Pokemon. This plays better than Pokemon. When really Pokemon, it's just trying to be Pokemon. And the newer audiences, when they compare old school Pokemon to new school yokai, new school is going to look a lot better. And this is what the video is going to be about. So I was looking into it and I was like, I think this is what Game Freak needs. Game Freak needs some serious competition because we haven't really seen any serious competition since Digimon, I would believe. And yeah, I don't even think really anything else has sprouted out like that. Like Beyblade had small momentum. Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of comparable, kind of not. That's its own like trading card community, but for the video game and the actual idea, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was still pretty big. And then since then we've had like Dagadar, Ben 10 tried to spin off into like a hardcore game and toy franchise, and really nothing has picked up. But then over in Japan, Yokai has been pretty kicking for over a year now, and it's coming to America, it's been doing so well. And you can see with new graphics like this, it's going to captivate those audiences, but at the same time, will it hold in America? Because we have things like that. I'm 99% sure that is a butt farting. Because in Japanese culture, this stuff's completely fine, but to kids, this might be a little weird. And to me, it's definitely, some of these are cool, some of these are weird. And that's just naturally going to be it. It's pretty much, Pokemon, they were trying to be more kid-friendly. Yokai, even though it's made for kids, they're taking all this more mature folklore and then adapting it for kids, and then you get some really weird things. You get a lot of really humanoid characters, you get a lot of spectral characters, and like I said, you can see some parallels with Pokemon. Like, I think that looks like a Dunsparce or whatever Dunsparce is supposed to represent to a degree, and just a lot of other different things. But then you do get into some really interestingly lewd things, like that businessman dog face, and there's also this like old lady thing, and then there's a lot of really weird things going on with a couple of these characters. But then at the same time, you know, it's one of those things where it is still finding success because it's so heavy in their folklore, but is it friendly to the world? That was the thing about Pokemon. Pokemon was friendly to the world. That everyone saw Pikachu and was like, that's amazing. Everyone's going to see the Ghost mascot, because I think that that's like the main mascot for the boy, since that's his. So everyone's going to see that and think, yeah, that's more Japanese. That's like more anime style. That isn't going to be like super all-encompassing, and that's where I wonder where the success is going to be. But the fact that Yokai is a success is still pretty huge. So according to the Wikipedia page, the anime movie had the highest grossing opening weekend of any Japanese film since 2000. So this thing had hype behind it, and it used that momentum very well. It sold over 5 million copies between both of its games. There's like Yokai Watch 1 and 2. So that's actually still pretty good, even though Nintendo still Pokemon still banks over 10 million, which is good for us, but at the same time it shows that this is a threat in a way, and it's gaining momentum, and kids on the playground are wanting to play this instead of Pokemon because they think it's cooler than Pokemon. There's an article, let's see if I can pull this up really quick. I don't have it really centered well. There's an article, someone that's a teacher in Japan was talking about like the world of Yokai Watch and how kids are feeling more immersed in it, and they made a nice little article about that, so I'll link that in the description, and it really does break down these things. That shows the graphics, it shows the environment, it shows, you know, how kids want to be playing this, and if I just like show the opening part of the anime, I mean, that's pretty well done. Like, that looks, hopefully that's in, yeah. Like, that looks good. That's going to catch your eye. And then the video game, still very immersive. So they also have collectibles. They're pretty much taking the exact Pokemon route with the modern twist I mentioned earlier. And I think that that's what Game Freak needs. That if this really starts to compete, only we win as Pokemon fans, because Game Freak is going to want to win that audience back. Naturally, as a business model, you don't want to just go and let your competition become better than you. So maybe this might push the envelope for 5th gen. Maybe this might push the envelope for something that everyone's always been wanting. They did that with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, that Masuda said, well, we saw the fans have really wanted this game, so we decided to make that game instead of the sequel to X and Y. And now we can look at it like this. They might want to push it even harder. They might want to make the good toys that are selling out for Yokai. They might want to upgrade the graphics. They might want to give us a region, or a game with all regions. Maybe a hard console game that is just mind-blowing. Because right now, it is good. Like, Pokemon has been fun. I'm not going to say anything against it, but again, it has been samey. That you haven't seen any major revolution to the game, and this Yokai Watch might be beneficial for it by pushing it. However, as of now, doesn't look too huge. That if we look at Yokai Watch gameplay, that's all I looked up on YouTube right here, don't see too many views. 32,000, 40,000, we have trailer gameplay. Now, in Japan, it's a different story. I found this Japanese video of a collectible thing, and that has 8 million views for just the collectibles, so this is huge. Like, it's all over the place. We're going to see how it transitions in 2016, and I'm still feeling good about it. Like I said, there are a lot of really weird things that I think might give it some just translation issues or some transitioning issues for Americans and stuff. But at the same time, you know, if it becomes big, if it starts really competing with Pokemon, then Game Freak should take the reins and like, okay, we need to pump out better games, we need to pump out more games. We can't just coast on some of this DLC freeware stuff and, you know, more of the same. We need to break the world open again. Because I feel like with X and Y, Game Freak did a really good job reviving Pokemon. That people cared about Pokemon more for 6th gen and ORAS than they have in a very long time. So now they can just take this momentum and keep pushing it, and hopefully we'll see a world where, you know, they become better because of Yokai and not get destroyed by it. And while I am very confident that, you know, Game Freak will be able to make the right decisions to capitalize on this, I might be impartial just because of me being such a Pokemon fan, so it might be worth it to just play it safe and say, hey, maybe Yokai Watch might be something to really consider, and because of that, we might have to value it thusly. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day.